humans again. Not that they weren't talking like humans before, but just knowing that when you go online, you don't have to take a statement and repeat it verbatim. You can be a real person. People appreciate that. It's one of my favorite quotes. If you wish to persuade me, you must think my thoughts, feel my feelings, and speak my words. And this isn't something that Seth Godin or Chris Brogan just came up with. This is actually something from Cicero from 2,000 years ago. I was a classics major as an undergrad. And if you ever wonder what you're going to do with a classics degree, but what it taught me is there's a universality to human nature throughout time. People care about the same things, and people don't change. And what Cicero wrote so many years ago, I think, is even more relevant today. People absolutely want you to think, feel, and speak like them. And that's exactly what we did with the Fiesta movement. Part of our global car rollout, the Fiesta was actually ready in Europe before it was ready in the States. So we brought over 100 European vehicles. We put them in the hands of 100 digital influencers for 6 months, requiring only a single video a month out of them. And guess what? They were tweeting and Facebooking and taking photos and doing all sorts of other videos along the way. So we aggregated that in a single place on our property, unscripted, unedited, untouched by Ford. So real people could see what other real people, just like them, were talking about. How they were talking about their experience, how they were talking about Ford. And then, when that was over, we actually worked with a number of the Fiesta agents, as we called them, to write, create, star in, and direct their own web videos. We simply provided the agency to be the production house for it, to put it all together, but it was their concept. And these videos just took off. And I want to share one of them with you right now. And I don't know if he's still in the room. I saw it. He had checked in on Foursquare. But Jonathan 360 was one of our Fiesta agents, and this is his video.
Hey, this is Jonathan. This is the key to the Fiesta. All I have to do is have it on me. I can open the doors, start the car with the push of a button. My friends back here, they don't have this. To show you how inconvenient that is, I rented a zombie.
Release the zombie.
Hey, I'm in the middle of something. Let me call you back. That's how you do it.
Now, when did you ever think you'd see a zombie in a Ford ad? Usually they keep us at the headquarters. So this is a perfect example of how we're taking something that's in popular culture, and quite frankly, it's not us. This was Jonathan. This was his idea, his concept. We just brought it to life. We actually heard from a couple of zombie bloggers, and yes, there are zombie bloggers out there, and we had to put up a statement that no zombies were harmed in the making of this video. But that's exactly the kind of thing that's resonating with people and why the Fiesta movement was so successful. Let me give you a few statistics on it. 6.2 million views and counting of what these 100 people did every 6 months. So it's only 600 videos, so you've gotten hundreds of thousands of views on each one. 750,000 views on their Flickr photos. 40 million impressions on Twitter of the hashtag Fiesta movement, which didn't exist before we invented it. It brought 132,000 people to fiestamovement.com to register there and say, tell me more about this when it actually comes to the dealerships. 83% of those people had never owned a Ford before. We're reaching a brand new demographic with this. 30% of the people that registered were under 25. So we're starting to reach a new generation that could potentially be with Ford for the rest of their lives. And what we saw from these hand raises, when people went from just reservations about the to get a vehicle to actually converting those to orders, we saw a 10 times greater amount of those people converting from reservations to sales than we normally do on any other given vehicle launch. But we understand we need to be good listeners too. I think you're hearing a lot of themes that you've heard throughout the day. That's, my fault for going last. But on the Ford story, we've got a couple of sections. One's called Your Stories, where we're actually encouraging people to write in, send in their photos and their videos of themselves and their Ford. We've been doing that for over a year. And this April, we opened up a section called Your Ideas, where we're actually encouraging people to tell us what they'd like to see in Ford vehicles. And what we're seeing is a lot of suggestions, about 20% or so, of stuff that we're already doing in our cars. It's just that people aren't aware of them. So that tells us we're on the right track, and we need to do a better job of telling our story. But that listening portion is really important. About this time 2 years ago, this blog post was written by City Mama on Twitter, Stefania Butler, who is a local, I believe. And she basically ripped Detroit to shreds, the entire auto industry. And naturally, Ford wanted to stand apart. So we reached out to her. And we actually invited her and about 50 other women in advance of the Blog Her conference to come out to the Chicago assembly plant where we're making the new Ford Taurus and the Ford Explorer. And we wanted them to see firsthand the people and the passion and the products that are making Ford tick. So ultimately, she did a complete 180, where she wasn't just, okay, now she's neutral with Ford. She was really positive about it. And she told everybody she knew about it. She wrote a blog post called How an Assembly Plant, the Women of Ford, and a guy named Larry Changed My Life. And she spent probably more time writing that post than she did the original one. And ultimately, that spread. And that's exactly the kind of third-party, people like me kind of testimonials that we need. So again, this notion of one Ford working together, this is really, really important. We've discovered over the course of our social media experiments that we absolutely benefit by banding together earned, owned, and paid media. And I'll show you exactly how we brought that to life this summer as we decided to reveal the Ford Explorer, not at an auto show, but in 8 cities and on Facebook simultaneously. We wanted to make a pledge to our Facebook fans that they would be among the first to actually see this vehicle in a different way. We had a whole cadence of activities throughout the day. We lined up our paid online media, our broadcast opportunities, and it all converged around 7:40 that morning when the vehicle finally made its appearance. And then we had some live stuff going on that we recorded and made apparent to people later on in the day. What we did is we had a custom tab where we gave the schedule out to people in advance so they could see what we were planning. And up until then, we had been teasing them with images. Maybe a portion of a headlamp, maybe our chief engineer obscuring, a key part of the vehicle, constantly working both the people and the product into the story. So we let people know that, D-Day was here and that they would be able to engage with us when and how they wanted. We realized that live presentations aren't necessarily what people flock to. Play on demand is really important. So we wanted to make sure we had videos and other things in there that could be archived and people could see later. We did an integrated buy with Yahoo, the homepage of Yahoo, as well as CNN. And you'll notice that we don't just have the Learn More button on here. We actually have a like button from Facebook on here. What that button does is it takes you to the Ford Explorer page on Facebook. We wanted to do it so you could like the Explorer directly from the ad. Facebook wasn't too cool with that at the time. Now they are, after seeing our success. And we drove people to the page to see this video. The video had, I think, some 65,000 views on it that day alone. When we're running auto show videos, we get a couple of thousand views. But what we did is we reached beyond the traditional automotive press to the mainstream, and we let people get engaged with the product and, more importantly, with the people and the passion behind the vehicle. If you could play the video, please.
This is a dream job. This is basically a job that you go out and you say, well, I want to go play outside. Well, every time I come to work, it's like a playground. My name's Melvin Betancourt, design manager for Ford Motor Company.
Often it'll happen in a meeting, we'll both go, wait a minute, at the same time.
My name is Julie Rocco. I'm the program manager on the Ford Explorer.
And I'm Julie Levine, and I'm the program manager on the Ford Explorer.
We're the two Julies.
You know, honestly, I have to just look back in my upbringing. I get a lot of determination from my parents. Both are Irish immigrants that came over here and had to make a life over here, and it wasn't that easy. I'm Jim Holland. I'm the chief engineer for the Ford Explorer program.
As a child, I spent my summers at car shows with my dad. He was always building cars. I'd be out in the garage helping him build something, you know, handing him tools. He's someone who's a little bit tech-averse, so he's a little taken aback by some of the technology at first glance, and I actually used that to help me when I designed.
As we picked people for the teams, we wanted folks who not only thought of this as a job, but also thought of it as a mission. This is the Explorer, and we really want to surprise people.
When I talk to people, when I say Explorer, it's almost like you see them smile, because almost everybody either owned an Explorer, knew somebody had Explorer, traveled in an Explorer.
There's almost a special trepidation, almost a fear when you're working on a program that's iconic.
Wow, you get to reinvent this, you know, and it's been out there for 20 years, and there's been 6 million of them sold, but you get to take the all-new one, ground up.
That is a major responsibility, and we take it very seriously. Everything I do it with a passion. I'm a true believer that if you do something mediocre, if you practice something mediocre, well, you're going to do it mediocre.
There were some extremely late nights, and I'm talking really late nights, sitting together with the vehicle.
You see these aha moments that the designers come up with, and it's magic. It really is magic when you see a very early concept. You're not sure where they're going, but all of a sudden things start to click. As a young child, my mom taught me how to dance salsa. If you look at the arm or the leg of a professional dancer, you will see the subtleties. You will see the crown and the undercut depending on what part of the body you're looking at. And that's one of the things that I kept in the back of my mind as we were developing the car.
We're both working moms. It's like a child to us, right? We've spent years preparing it, maturing it, honing it.
When people see this vehicle, I love when people see this vehicle. I think it's beautiful.
It's fun to watch people.
It is. It's really fun.
If I'm given the chance to announce to the world the Ford Explorer.
If I had to introduce the Explorer,
Go first, or do you want? Go ahead.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Are you ready to see it? What I would say is that
It's totally different. It's totally new. You're going to be amazed.
this is the new Ford Explorer. Are you ready to see the new reinvented Explorer?
the sport utility vehicle for the 21st century.
And I would pull the cover, and I would want to hear the people's amazement and go, ah.